Joel Embiid is the MVP, y'all. My name is Hawk. Let's talk hoops. I wanted to read off this tweet from Woj. Philadelphia 76ers center Joel Embiid has been voted the 2022-2023 most valuable player. Embiid breaks through as the winner after consecutive years as a runner-up. You could have left off that consecutive year part, Woj, but I'm gonna let you rock. Let me start off by saying shout out to the other finalists, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo. All three of these guys were well deserving in my mind. And if you've been paying attention, a couple of weeks ago, I even said if I had a first place vote, I would have given it to Giannis. But don't get that confused with the fact that I am beyond ecstatic. The fact that Joel Embiid won. Joel's my guy. Multiple times throughout the year where he looked like the best player on the planet, getting it done on both sides of the court, leading the league in scoring, but also being a great defender and rim protector for the Sixers on the other end. I hope Joel's knee gets better soon and he can get back on the court as soon as possible because the Sixers are in a very competitive series right now against the Celtics. Last night, the Sixers shocked the world and won game 1 against the Celtics at home. James Harden goes crazy for 45 points and he only shot 4 free throws, people. A couple of big takeaways for me was James Harden was aggressive early and often. He knew right out the gate, right off the tip off, he had to get his shot going, and he did that. Was very aggressive in the first quarter. Him and D'Anthony Melton, just in the first half in general. D'Anthony Melton was shooting the lights out in that first half of that basketball game. Harden was really surprised me by the amount of mid-range pull-ups he made, a lot of step back twos, something we haven't seen from him, at least I haven't seen from him in the last couple of years. And he was getting to the basket without looking to get fouled, like looking to just finish strong at the basket. And once he started getting to go to the basket, the mid-range jumpers falling, then he just started letting it fly from 3. It was 7 for 14 from 3, a lot of step backs, a lot of amazing pick and roll situations with PJ Tucker. I know a lot of Sixers fans, even myself included, sometimes wonder what in the world is PJ Tucker doing on the court for us, because he don't be putting up field goals. He played 37 minutes last night, didn't even look at the basket, did not attempt a field goal. I want to say that's now a record for the most minutes played in a playoff game without even attempting a field goal. But you know what PJ Tucker did? Set amazing screens for James Harden. PJ knows where James Harden likes his screens. He knows how to set screens that James Harden likes. Harden's familiar with playing PJ, and it was on display last night. His impact was there last night. One quick takeaway I saw from the Boston Celtics while watching that game, they played a lot, and I mean a lot of drop coverage against James, even after he started hitting a couple of threes, which reminded me of last year's NBA Finals. I made a TikTok last year saying the Celtics were playing way too much drop coverage against Steph Curry in the finals. So I'm like, well, if you're gonna play drop coverage against Steph, you're probably gonna play drop coverage against James. So James, let it fly. I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics try to switch it up going into game 2, maybe start throwing more bodies at James, start doubling him, doing something different. Another thing that surprised me was the fact that the 2-3 was working so much for the Sixers, because I'll keep it a beam. The Celtics were doing an excellent job of just forcing the ball into paint. Without Joel Embiid on the court, it was just an open field in terms of paint production for the Boston Celtics. Off the drives, off of cuts, they were just scoring at will at the basket. Doc Rivers decides to go into a 2-3. I'll be honest, they were still scoring at a decent clip in the paint. It slowed down a little bit, but I was very surprised that the Celtics were unable to shoot us out of a 2-3. I was surprised that we were able to stay in the 2-3 against the Celtics. But when I looked at the box score, Al Horford was 1 for 4 from 3. Derek White was 0 for 4. Marcus Smart was 0 for 2. And Malcolm Brogdon was 2 for 6. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum did their thing from 3, but the rest of the guys could not hit threes. Got to give a big shout out to Tyrese Maxey. He had a really solid game. There was a moment in the third quarter when James Harden did, I want to say it was 2 step back threes that were a brick, and then 1 step back 2 that was a brick. And I was like, oh boy, it was like 83-83 at that time. He kept missing. The Celtics started going on a run. Now it's like 89-83. And I'm like, oh no, this is where we lose the game. Doc Rivers subs out Harden, puts in Maxey, and Maxey immediately got to scoring. He had a really solid third quarter, ended with 26 points himself. Maxey had a really solid game bringing that energy in that fourth quarter where Brogdon, I want to say it was Brogdon, just passed him the ball, shocked everybody, Maxey himself. He might have even traveled on that fast break layup, but I'll take it. Paul Reed had a solid game on the board, and shout out to Tobias Harris. He knocked down his open shots and had a really good game as well. Just overall, a really good game from the Sixers. A couple of things from the Celtics that I expect to see different in game 2. Jaylen Brown has to get more shots up. He ended this game 8 for 10, absolutely phenomenal. In the fourth quarter, he was 2 for 2. He just did not see the ball in those last 3-minute stretch of the game. I don't think he got the ball, but Malcolm Brogdon's getting the ball. Marcus Smart turns it over on that last play. Everyone else is touching the ball but Jaylen Brown. He has to be more assertive. I don't know if Mazzulla's not necessarily calling plays for him, but when he's on the court, he gotta be like, hey, if Tatum's not here, I gotta get more shots up. There's no excuse for Jaylen Brown to only have 10 field goals and Malcolm Brogdon has 16. That's just Celtics. That's not your game plan. That is not what y'all want to do. And now the Sixers have the luxury, I'm gonna put it in quotation marks, but the luxury of being okay with Joel Embiid sitting out another game and not playing again until game 3. I wouldn't be surprised if Joel does not play in game 2. I don't expect him to play in game 2. I'll be honest, I expect the Celtics to make some adjustments to probably have a better showing in game 2. Shout out to the Sixers for stealing game 1 in Boston. Absolutely phenomenal win. And also, last thing for the Celtics, I feel like I'm nitpicking on y'all. Y'all gotta find a way to get Al Horford off of guards in these pick and roll situations. Stop switching as much. Maybe hedge, do something, hard hedge, throw 2 at him and then recover. But Al Horford ain't the Al Horford he was 3-4 years ago when he could play in space. He's getting older. He simply can't play in space. He can't. And I know a lot of Celtics fans are going to say throw Grant Williams out there more, but there were even some moments when Grant Williams, when he was out there, was getting cooked too. So not necessarily cooked, but not containing Harden to the level that I think a lot of people expected him to. Looking forward to see what adjustments the Celtics make in the next game. And honestly, I'm looking forward to see if we can make it interesting in game 2. Go Sixers. Shifting gears, I want to talk about the end of that amazing first round matchup between the Warriors and the Kings. First off, shout out to the Kings. There's the game 7 ain't go the way I wanted to go, obviously. I'm sure the Kings fans and the Kings players wanted to win that game. That's the ultimate goal. But you gotta hold your head high looking at the season you had, looking at the journey this team's gone on over the last couple of years, rebuilding with Fox, realizing that you have a really special talent in De'Aaron Fox and building a really good team around him. The off-season acquisitions you made were phenomenal. They fit well. Y'all had the best offense in the NBA this season. Y'all had an historically great offense this season. I think, honestly, the Warriors are probably the worst matchup for the Kings in terms of they had some personnel that can exploit some weaknesses. And one of the biggest weaknesses that are being talked about the most is Domantas Sabonis. He was absolutely phenomenal this year. All-star, might even make All-NBA. He made my All-NBA list. He was phenomenal this year, but a couple of limitations to his game were a glaring spotlight was put on it in this series. His game is based on for strength. He's not necessarily an amazing shooter to stretch the floor, but when you have a guy like the low-key MVP of the series, Kevon Looney, who can match him in strength, can play off of him so he doesn't have to necessarily worry about him shooting, it just made it tough for Sabonis. I think if Sabonis goes into this offseason, works on his jump shot, the Kings honestly will be right back here next season. They have the opportunity to be a higher seed in the West, to come out of the first round and, get an actual playoff series win. I like what the future has in store for the Kings. And I'm not even putting it all on Sabonis. Fox's hand was hurt. He didn't have necessarily an amazing game 7. But if you're Fox, if you're Monk, I'm not going to hold you. Y'all was hooping this series. Malik Monk, I've talked about him countless times on this channel this season. Mainly because I was one of the people who I was not aware of your game. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game, Malik Monk, but you've made me a fan this season. He, to me, was consideration for 6th man of the year. It was absolutely phenomenal for them off the bench. Truly embodied what a 6-man should be to me. When they needed a spark off the bench, when they needed a spark to their offense, he was always there to step up and do that for them. So Sabonis, don't beat yourself up over this series, because a lot of people are going to be talking about you crazy over the next couple of weeks. Just work on your game a little bit more. Be more confident with that free throw line, mid-range jumper. You had way too many opportunities in a lot of these games to take that shot, and he just did not look for it. Was looking to do more hands-offs and looking to be more facilitator, which is what the Kings need for sure. But when you wide open at that free throw line jumper, you have to be willing to take that and knock it down. And last but not least, before we get up out of here, the Warriors are playing the Lakers, and I think that's going to be the one of, if not the highest rated and most watched series we've seen in a long time. The NBA has already been breaking records and putting up record-breaking numbers in terms of the amount of viewership that we've gotten in the first round this series. That Golden State and Kings series was one of the most watched first rounds in history. It was putting up low-key finals numbers in terms of how many people were tuned in, because it genuinely was an amazing series and we all wanted to see how it turned out. But Steph Curry going up against LeBron James, a matchup we haven't seen since the Cavs-Warriors days. Everybody gonna be tuning in this series. Game 1 is tonight. I'm currently recording this while the Knicks look like they might be finishing up this game against Miami 107-100. But I'm super looking forward to this Warriors-Lakers series. I'll be honest, I like how the teams match up a little bit. I don't know. On one hand, it's like I truly think Steph Curry is going to be the best player in this series. What we've seen of everybody so far, Steph Curry is the best player in this series. However, The second two best players are LeBron James and Anthony Davis, obviously. We saw that Kevon Looney is amazing in being a bruiser in the paint, but Anthony Davis is more of a finesse big. I think the Warriors can definitely control the glass, but Anthony Davis has the opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive with those mid-range jumpers if they're going to give that to him. I'm curious to see how that works out. I think you'll see a lot of Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins on LeBron. I'm curious to see how they do defensively there. But the biggest question mark for me is who in the world guards Steph Curry? Do you put D'Lo on him? Do you put Schroeder on him? Do you put Reeves on him? You know he likes to run around a lot. You know he likes to make defenses fall asleep when he doesn't have the ball. The Lakers have to decide who's going to be the best defender to not fall asleep when Steph passes the ball, because if you ask me, that's when he's the most dangerous, once he lets go of the ball, because that's when he really starts to take off and run off of screens. They're really looking forward to that series. I think it's going to be arguably the best series of the playoffs. I don't know who you even going to get in the finals in terms of viewership and whatever, but I guarantee you they're not going to compare it to the numbers that we're about to see in this upcoming series. But that's all I got. If you made it this far, you're out. But that's all I got. You already know if you made it this far, you're a real one. Joel Embiid's the MVP, and I'm out of here. Peace.